Good morning, everyone. This is Becky here at Aunt Beck's Creations. And yes, it's 8:29, not 8:30, but it's just a minute. It'll be all right. I'm going to go over kind of what you need. Good morning, Cynthia. Let's just talk about our fabric, and then I'll just show you some of the tools I'm going to utilize. This is the piece of fabric. I'm going to move you guys for just a minute over here. All right. This is my piece of fabric that we created together. And you can see that's the back, all crazy stitches showing and everything. And then on this side, it's 20 inches this way. And I think it's a little over 12 inches this way. So about 12 and a half inches this other way. I actually have a quilting ruler laying here that is 12 and a half inches. Yes, 12 and a half inches. It goes from one side to the other. And you need that, and you need to fold it in half. Exactly. And I'm going to go ahead and pin mine together along the top edge so that it does not move on me. So I'll put a pin in there. And we'll get to the orange fabric in just a minute. Good morning, Pam. We'll put some pins in here. Keep this from shifting. All right. So I'm going to tell you the measurements of my bag, but I'm also going to tell you how to cut for your own bag. All right. So here's mine here. So you need a piece that's going to be the width, which we know is 12 and a half. And then this way, mine, because it's 20 inches long, I need a piece that's 10 inches. And that 10 by 12 and a half, that's where you get your measurement for the two orange pieces. You need two pieces of lining fabric. Doesn't have to be orange, just whatever will go with the bag you're making. All right, so you got two pieces of those. Keep them laying together because we're going to do something a little different than the tutorial I found to have a seamless outer bag, so the bottom of the bag won't have a seam in it, but the lining will. And the reason you have to have two pieces for your lining is you have to leave an opening at the bottom so you have somewhere to turn the whole bag right side out. Okay, we'll come back to this in just a minute. Now, oh, wait a minute. Let me pull this back here. Okay, so now in the tutorial that I watched to learn how to do this, and I'll put a link to it. I shared that link in, I think, one of my previous videos. She used a zipper that was longer than her bag. It was wider, longer. So let me pull this because this is just a 12-inch black zipper. And so mine's not going to be longer than my bag. And that's where the two smaller pieces of orange are going to come into play. All right. So I've got this here, okay? For this to work for this bag, I'm going to add some tabs to each end of this. And that's the first thing we're going to do on the zipper is I'm going to mark where I want the tabs to go. So I'm going to move this back over here. Hi, Safia. All right, so now these two little pieces here, you want it to be, the strip to be wider than your zipper, okay? So you want it wider than the zipper. And then you want it so it'll fold in half on itself and give you some room to play. This is really, just make it slightly wider than your zipper and then think about the piece being, let's see, just a 3-inch long. You can say 3 inches by whatever this is, the width. I'll tell you, it was a 3x2 piece. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to attach this at the end of our zipper here. But what I want to do is I'm going to take my zipper, and I've got a piece of tailor's chalk here. And on my zipper, this will brush off later. Where the little stop is here, I want to measure up a 1/2 inch. So if I line that up with the back of that stop, so the 1/2 inch mark is right there. Okay. Then on the zipper, I want to make a mark right there. And you want to do it all the way across. All right. Now we're only going to sew this end down first. Okay. We're not going to sew the strip to the other end until the zipper is put into the bag. Okay. So I'm going to line my folded edge with the line I just put on there and try to center it pretty close. And I'm just going to put a couple pins in. One on that side of the zipper and one on this side of the zipper. And I'm going to turn it over, and you can see where the stop is. You can see where the prongs of the stop on the zipper are folded over. I'm going to sew about 1/4 inch away from that so my needle doesn't go through the stop, but that will hold this in place. Okay. And technically, I should probably have my pins on this side of the fabric. Once you get it lined up on the other side, you can move your pins over. It's no biggie to move your pins. So I've got my zipper foot on, and I thought I should go, I'm going to pull this up and pull this off. So I want to show you, for anybody that's, got your brand new sewing machine and you don't know what you're looking at. Okay. So the foot that you do a majority of your sewing with is like this. Okay. It's got a little opening here where the needle can do a straight stitch. It can do a zigzag or whatever. But when you're putting a zipper in, you want to put your zipper foot on, and it looks something like this. It looks kind of like a little boot. And you'll see where the needle goes is just some curved openings on either side. So you can put this on your sewing machine either for the foot to ride down. When this comes down your zipper, let me see if I can come in closer real quick, because this is important. I don't want you to break your zip needles or any of that. So I'll come in a little closer. That's about as close as it's going to get. And all right. So you'll notice on your foot here, there's a bar that locks in, just like there's a bar here where your foot is grabbed by the attachment over on the sewing machine. There's a little, I can't get it to show, but there's a little thing that fits down over that bracket. And when you do it for your zipper, you need to decide whether this is going to go on this edge, if you're going to sew with the teeth of the zipper on the right side, or if you're going to do it on the left side. I do mine on the left side so that my stitching will come in right close to the teeth of the zipper. You do not line up when you're sewing with this foot. You are not lining up the edge of the foot right here. You're lining up with the back here. That's what goes along the side of the teeth of the zipper. You do not want to sew through the zipper edges or you'll ruin the zipper. So I'm going to put this on my machine, and I don't know if I can get it where I can show you guys that or not. I've got too much stuff here. Hang on. I'm going to put you guys in my lap. How about that? You're sitting in my lap now. Hold on tight. Don't fall off. All right. I'm going to put that out of the way. All right. You'll see I've got this little thing here. And it's got like a curved area. And I'm going to put the zipper foot on. So you just slide it under the foot. And like I said, I'm going to line it up so that it's stitching to the left side of the foot. So I've got it setting there, and you set that down until it wiggles in there. You'll know when you get it. There you go. See how it clicks in? Now when you push your uptake, it lifts the foot up. So that's what we're going to do there. I don't think I can sew this with you guys in my lap, but we'll try. All right. So like I said, I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to stitch so that I don't go through the stop right there. So I'm just going to pull my little sew thing on there, and I'm just going to line the edge. The edge of the foot at the back is going to be right next to the stop, but my needle will be over here. Now, before you start taking off with a sewing machine, use your hand crank on the side of the machine and rotate it toward you until the needle goes down and through, because you want to make sure it's going to miss your foot entirely. And then I'm going to go ahead and take these two pins out. And I am starting kind of toward the center of the zipper. It's weird having you guys on my lap. Sorry, it's wiggle woggly. Going to get worse, I'm sure. All right, so now I'm going to sew forward and back. All right. Then when you go to take your materials out of your machine, make sure that the uptake here, right here, you'll see it come up. You want it at its highest position. So it's peeking out the top of your sewing machine. Okay, you can see it right here. That's when it's okay to like pull this back. I've got thread catching it. All right. And what I mean is you can draw back now and the thread will pull nice and easy. If you don't have the uptake in the upright position, it will grab and you will pull the tension all out of whack and everything. So make sure that uptake is in the highest position. All right, I'm going to get you guys back over here. Put you back down on the table because the next part is really important. Let's see. There you guys are. So bear with me a little bit this morning. Try not to be too cranky with me. And we'll sew this together. All right. Trying to get the thread snipped. Okay. I keep sacrificial pieces of fabric. It makes everything easier. So now you can see this is actually covering part of the zipper, but the zipper part is in there. And that's basically, we're going to leave that just like that. And then we'll sew the zipper into the bag. Now, I'm only doing this because my zipper is only a 12-inch zipper. If you use a zipper that is longer, you won't have to do this. Okay? Because mine is shorter than the full width of this, I wanted to have a little bit of extra to make sure I get caught into my seam allowances. I will have to line this up so that that stop isn't in the seam line too. That's another reason. See, I can line this up now, and I can line my fabric up with the edge of the bag here. All right. Now, before we go into putting the zipper in, I want to do some cuts on the bag and the lining. All right. Good morning to everybody coming in. Fiber Floozies here. Good morning. Did I get everybody? I think so. There's Mary. All right. So I want my bag to have a square bottom like we've done before. Now, before anybody gets on me about you can sew down this, when you do the sew down the side, you can just fold. I don't like to do it that way. I feel like I don't get as good a finish as I do when I just cut little squares out and then just meet those two. But you do you. If that works for you and that's your favorite way, go for it. So you don't have to tell me in the comments that that's how you do it. I know how to do it that way. I just prefer this way. So I have my quilting ruler. If you do not have a quilting ruler, you will have to measure with a ruler in two spots, you know, and draw your line and stuff. With a quilting ruler, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a 1.5 inch square out of the corner. Generally, I would do two inch square, but because I have these flowers, I don't want to go too far into my design. So I'm doing 1.5 inches. So what I will do is I will line up the 1.5 inches with the bottom of the bag and 1.5 inches with the side of the bag. So this is 1.5 inch square. And then I can use just a pencil, or you can use your tailor's chalk, whichever shows up better for you. And then we'll just take some nice sharp scissors, and I'm going to cut through both layers like that. Uh-oh, I didn't get all the threads cut. All right, so now I have this cute little piece of stitched on fabric I can use for something else. Then I'm going to flip my bag over, and I'm going to cut 1.5 inches out of this corner as well. So there's the 1.5 inch line, and there's the 1.5 inch line. This is for things like this, it's kind of good if you like want to pick yourself up. This is a 6.5 inch quilter's ruler. It helps you with making these boxed corners. All right. Once I get this cut, then we'll cut the one on the lining pieces as well. And then we'll get going on the zipper installation. Hoping this won't take forever today. All right. Trying to cut through all the layers here. Oh, I see. I got a piece of lace on the back side that was giving me some trouble. So that just makes an interesting little bit that you could add to a different project. So there I've cut 1.5 inches out of those. Okay. So let me get my lining fabric back over here. I'm going to switch these out for my gingers because the gingers rock with cutting. All right. Hi, Joyce. Quilting rulers are super useful. Just wish they weren't so pricey. All right, so now I'm going to do this other side, and I've got thread crawling down my leg here. I do know that Joann's is going to have their rulers on sale. I think it starts tomorrow. It's a Black Friday special, which is crazy to me having Black Friday specials even before Black Friday, but that's just me. Everybody's rush, rush, rush for the almighty dollar. So, yeah. But I do need a new big cutting mat, but I'm not going to get one until we're done with this house mess up. Now, if you're worried that this will shift when you go to cut, just put some pins in your piece. I'm just going to lay my ruler down on there, and then I'm going to cut these out. And yes, I know you can do this by folding the side, blah, 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 but I never get as good a finish as I do than doing this. And flip the whole thing, and I'll mark one more. And this fabric, I'm sure it has a right and a wrong side, but it's the lining. So I'm not going to dwell on whether I've got it the right way or not. And besides, I don't really like orange, but it's a piece that was in my quilter stash that went kind of good with my bag. So that's why I'm using orange. Anybody that's been around for a while knows that I am not fond of orange. Okay. So there, that is cut. Now, before we start sewing, I want you to keep in mind that you're going to need to leave an opening on this bag when we go to sew, and it's easier to mark that now. So on this part that's the very bottom of the bag, I want you to just lay your ruler near it and come in about 2.5 inches from this side and make a little mark, and maybe about 2.5 inches from this other side and make a mark. What that's going to do is that's going to give you a place to turn the bag right side out. Those are just marks we're going to need later, and it's just easier to do it now. All right, so now let's put the zipper in, okay? You're going to need your bag piece, and we need to open it up. I had this pin closed so it wouldn't shift when I was cutting out my squares. All right. So lay this right side up in front of you, okay? Try to figure out where you guys are. There you are. All right, then we need the zipper. What did I do with the zipper? Did I throw it on the floor? Oh, come on, guys. What did I do with, oh, there it is. There. Anyway, now the zipper, you need to put with the teeth side, the raised area of your zipper, put it face down on your bag, and we're going to line the edge of the zipper up. And I'm trying to make sure that this part is beyond the 1/4 inch we're going to sew along here. So I'm going to put this in here. And I am going to go ahead and pin it. We're going to take these pins out and, put them back in when we put the lining on. You'll see what I mean here in a minute. And I'm just going to put like 4 pins in this. Kind of hold this together. Okay. You may have to, as we're sewing along, you may have to reach under and unzip the zipper some. But if we start at this end, we'll just unzip that part way or all the way down like so. All right. So that's kind of pinned in place where it needs to be. The tricky bit with this is you're not going to see the zipper here in a minute. All right, so now I'm going to put this edges even on either side of the bag and match up your top. So the edge of the zipper is face down, the bag is facing up. This piece is the right side of the fabric down to the right side because of the bag portion, but it's the back side of the zipper. I hope that was clear enough. And we're going to just move these pins. You can use the clips if you have some. Now, when you're doing this sewing, you're kind of sewing blind, but you can feel where those teeth are through your lining fabric. And when we get on the machine, we're going to make sure the back part of that zipper foot, let's see here, back part of the zipper foot is going in the right place. I'm just trying to get this to lay smooth. I'll verify that my pins are, and try not to put your pins through the edge of your zipper teeth either. And you're going to go right over the orange fabric as well. All right. So we'll sew down a ways and then stop with the needle down in it and then reach between the in here and pull your zipper back over here to get the zipper head. But you'll need to stop sewing before you get close to it. So stop maybe when we get to the little over the midway point. All right. I'm not going to try to put you back in my lap. So I'm feeling, I wish I could get you guys where you could see. Really do. There you go. All right. So I'm going to start right, feeling where that zipper is. And I'm going to line the edge of that up with the edge of that zipper. And I'm lining the zipper. You can see it's kind of a raised area. I'm lining it up with the back of this foot's edge. And we'll start off slow, needle down. All right. All right, here we go. We're almost to the pin where we're going to stop. All right, I'm going to stop with needle down, lift this up, grab a hold to that zipper pull, and close the zipper back up, and I caught the fabric in it. It's a bit fiddly. And you may have to lift the presser foot to get past that. Oh, can't get past it. Why are you giving me such a hard time? All right, let's all right, giving me a hard time. What I'll do is I'll just do some back stitches. And I'll go ahead and pull it out. That way that's locked in place. And I'm going to pull that zipper on closed. Again, there. Now that zipper pull is out of your way. All right. Now we'll finish sewing across. We'll start where we were. Oops, sorry. Didn't mean to shove you guys over there. All right. And get this. You always want your thread toward the back of the machine. We'll get this in here. And again, the zipper teeth are right there, lined up next to that back edge of the zipper. needs oil or something, or a new needle. It's making too much noise. And the reason I'm using the blue thread, and I did a back stitch there. The reason I'm using this blue thread is so you guys can see it. And my bag is so colorful, it really doesn't matter. All right, I'm going to trim all these. Don't cut any links off until we're done, okay? We're done with the zipper. Just don't cut anything off yet. You'll regret it if you do. So now we're going to take and I'm going to press this real good, and then I'll turn it to the inside and pull my zipper back, and I'm going to press, press, press. Just don't hit the teeth of your zipper. I didn't do too good there. It got all kind of off. If you get to it and it doesn't look quite right, whoops, you can always go back under the needle and sew it again and see where it went wonky, which that's going to drive me crazy. So I am going to fix that. Yeah, it went a little curvy there. I'm feeling with my fingers. Nobody's going to see this extra stitching, so it's only between you and me, okay? The only time you don't really want to do a bunch of added stitching is when you're doing your top stitching, which we're going to do next. So let me press this real well. Try not to put too much heat right on the plastic zipper because that's not a good idea. And I got my iron over here. So one place I am going to trim is this sacrificial stuff. I'm going to trim it off, but not this part yet. I'm just going to do this here. That's all I want to trim off for right now, okay? All right, so I'm going to press that some more. And then I'll turn it to the inside, which means just flipping the orange over and standing your zipper up. And then I'm going to give this a good press. And then we'll top stitch on the outside here and get that all nice and good. All right. Whoops. Forgot that lace is kind of plasticky too. Whoops. All right. So now, ooh, kind of stunk. I'm going to put this back under here, and I'm going to just be mindful to keep the lining down. This is where you could like put a pin or a clip in to keep your lining from flipping up in your way. All right, so you can see I've got just a pin there and a pin over here. And that's just to keep the lining from getting in the way. And I'm going to top stitch. Oh, I need to go the other way because of where I've got the foot placed. All right, so now, again, I'm just going to try to get in here. So now the the back bar section is going to be near the teeth. And then where my needle's going in is going to be real close to the edge of my fabric. That's because of all the thicknesses I have. Uh-oh. Don't want to fold that up in the way there. All right. Come on. When it hums like that, just twist your wheel toward you. And I do stop a little bit before the side so that when we sew the seams, they'll lay smooth. All right, so there's that piece is done. Okay, it's not 100% straight or anything, but it's my bag. It'll be all right. All right, so now the zipper is here. All right, we're going to turn our bag. We're going to have it, get this back over here. All right, so you got this way. We're going to bring the zipper up, and you're going to line the edges up with your fabric, and you're going to line the edge of the zipper up again with the edge of your bag. So you want to make sure the sides of your bag are together, and this might actually work better with some of the clips. You had a question way up. Look up, look up, look up. Becky, what big cutting mat would you buy? Oh gosh. The one I need to replace is the, let's see, this is 23 by 35. It's a big one because it's all warped. It's had too much heat on it, and I've been using it for too many years. So again, it's more important that the sides meet up here because you want your bag to be straight. So I'm going to put a clip in here and one in the middle, one on this edge. All right. And now we need the other piece of lining, and it's going to be on the opposite side. So when we sew this down and then we flip it over, it'll look just like this one. All right. So put this down, match your sides up. Let's see here. And generally when I am using these clips, this is just another tip. On the clips, there's a rounded top and there's a flat bottom. If you put the flat at the bottom of the project underneath here, it'll go smoother into your sewing machine. And I'm going to put another one in between here and here. All right, so now we're going to repeat what we did on the first side, except now the zipper is closed all the way to the end. So when I get close to this end, I'm going to need to get in there and open the zipper back up just so that I don't get a bump out where the pull is. All right. This really is a quick project. I'm just wanting to make sure I tell you guys everything. So again, I'm going to feel where that zipper is. Feel those teeth. And I'm going to line that up with, where did I have you guys so that you looked real good? All right. So if I push on this, let's see. If I push on this, that you can feel the edge of the zipper there. I want it to line up with the back of that foot, not the front edge where the needle is. This is giving me about a 1/4 inch seam allowance here. And I've only got this at like a 2 length. You could go a little bit, more stitches to the inch or fewer stitches to the inch, elongate it a little bit. But I was just using the method the girl talked about. I'm going to lift my presser foot. My needle is in the fabric. I'm going to lift this and see if I can get this zipper open. You got to get all the way to the middle. See if I can get this open past that. It's not going to let me get past that blooming thing. So hang on. I do have to back stitch a little and then I'll take it out. And I'll get that zipper. Got to get all the way to the middle. Open that back up past that. All right. Now I can finish stitching this up, maybe. Oh no, the foot came off. I must have pressed the button. Let me put it back on. Stop, it's wiggling. There's a little button that releases it at the back, and I think I accidentally pressed that. All right. Ready? Alrighty, daddy. I'm not going to worry about the other little tab end because I have enough zipper hanging out. So I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to put that other little orange piece on. So you don't absolutely have to put it on both ends. All right. I'm going to press it again. And then you have to have the zipper open to do the top stitching on this other side. I'm going to trim this now here. But I'm not going to trim the ends until I've got the bag sewn. All right, so let me do some pressing. Aw, thanks, Mary. All right, we'll do some pressing here. Don't want to get that zipper too hot, the teeth of it, but I do want to set my stitches. All right, so now I'm going to put that, I'm opening it back up, and you're going to have to open your zipper all the way, and I'm going to give this a good press, and see, you're going to have this, all that is kind of in the way here, so we're going to start at the end that's nice and open, and then when we get to this end, we're just going to take our time. We want we want right sides out right now. to do our top stitching on the side we haven't yet. All right, I'm going to do some pressing to get this nice and smooth all the way down through here. And then I'll do that top stitching on the outside here. But I got to get this pressed first, which is tricky when you're doing this. This is so much easier if everything's 2 layers. But that plasticky lace is causing me problems. Guess that's something else to think about when you're choosing stuff to decorate your bag, especially if you've got to do any pressing. Let's see here. Lift you guys up so you can see over here. So I'm smoothing my lining down inside and getting it smooth real good. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear, you know, they don't want to do any pressing or anything, but that's how you get the professional finishes. It's all in the pressing. It truly, truly is, you guys. Boy, I got that hot. Trying to figure out. This is not easy to press in here. And I might need to do some more clipping of this other side because it's kind of in the way. All right, so I'm going to do my best. Let's see. Wonder if turning it wrong side out again, if I could get in better. Let's see. I'm gonna pin this down here. Get this lining under control. I just want it out of the way. That's not going to stay pinned like this. Oh, I got you guys back over here. All right. And I'm just trying to get this pinned out of the way. Oh, got too many pins. And I might want to put a pin in the bottom of the other side just to keep it out of my way for a minute. Because it seems to want to creep and crawl. Ouch. Hi, Heather. All right. So now we're going to do the top stitching on this side. And I really think it needs to be right side out to get in there. This is me struggling, so you don't have to. Do what I do, not as I say. Let's see. All right, let me see here. This is going to take some fancy maneuvering. All right, we want the sewing to be right at the edge. Hopefully, I've got that lining. Oh, this is a pain in the neck. I think I may have sewed the wrong, I don't know. Make sure I don't have any. This is going to be awkward. I'm going to back stitch just a few stitches and pull it out so I can look at it better. And I'm going to pull this back across here. I wonder if I could top stitch in. Nope, that ain't going to work. Let me look. turn it wrong side out again. I promise I've done this bags type before, but just not with this method. How did she do that? Like that. All right, so the bag has to be wrong side out when you put the second top stitching row in. Yeah, that makes more sense. And then just take your time when you get to this end and try not to stab you with your own pins that you put in. All right. Oh boy. I am struggling. The struggle is real. All right, I'm going to put that down. Try to get this where I can see what I'm doing. We'll just go slow. Make sure my lining is laying flat. We'll go forward a few stitches and then back. And then I'll just take my time. I'm trying to make sure all the layers are smooth under there. I'm going to call that top stitching good enough. Let's see if I messed it up. Whoa! About threw you guys down on the ground. Man, getting violent over here. Don't look too bad. I need to get all these threads loose. All right, now the fun part. I got to get all those pins out of there. And you're going to pull your zipper partway closed, but don't pull it all the way closed because you got to have the zipper open to be able to turn this bag right side out once it's stitched. Okay. Pins. There's one. There's one. There's one. It makes a world of difference, the pressing. This is where a narrow sewing arm is useful. Well, I have a narrow sewing arm. All I got to do is slide this off. But I didn't think about it because the girl in the video I watched, she didn't do that. So, yeah, if I'd thought about that, Safia, jeez, if I'd read the chat, right? If only she'd look up, look up, look up. Could save you a lot of grief if you just look up. All right, so now we're going to bring the two lining pieces together and the two bag pieces together. I'm going to make it so the zipper both goes up in the air like that. And I'll put a clip there in this part here. Up, wrong way, this way. And I am going to switch from the zipper foot back to my regular sewing foot. And so on this part, the created fabric, we're only going to sew a 1/4 inch seam here on this part. Ignore the little square for just a few minutes. And I'm putting my clips on so the flat side is down. And then you'll come up and you'll just keep putting your clips into your lining piece as well. Smooth it out. Put your clips in. Let me move you guys one more time here. I just need a little bit more room. Working on limited space is difficult. All right. Throw some of those out because I hate digging for them. All right. So then as you come around here, you're going to skip the little square. Then you'll start sewing here and stop at the mark we made earlier. Because you want to leave an opening at the bottom big enough for your fifth to go in. Okay? You'll stop there, do a back stitch and go forward a little bit, and then come over here and start again. And then we're just going to turn the bag, and I'm going to make the zipper. This side is wanting to go the other way. Well, match up your side on your fabric. We'll do that. All right. Then I'll just push this so the zipper goes up. I just want it to match on both sides. Like so. Whoops. This might take some figuring when we get around here. I don't know what's better. Make it go toward the lining or toward the bag. Well, I'll find that one later, or the cats will. Okay, so I've got my clips on here all backwards. I was going to switch this foot out. You just push the little button on the back and it drops back. Oops. My hands are not working this morning. I did not sleep very well last night, so bear with me while I throw things about the room. I don't know. Some days I just have harder time. I'll put my zipper foot back in there. Holding on to stuff. I'm just going to do a seam allowance that I go along or right in the inside part of that foot. It'll a 1/4 inch seam. I could put the 1/4 inch foot on. Now the thing to keep in mind is when you get to the zipper on this end is you want to look and see that you're going to miss that zipper stop. And remember, we sewed that piece of fabric on there, so it would go a 1/2 inch past the zipper, over the zipper. So we know that we need to stay at a 1/4 inch and slow down and take care so you don't bust a needle. I am going to start with a forward and a back stitch, and I am going to do my stitch length up to about a 3. Oh, got you guys over there again. You can tell I've increased the length because it's sewing a little better, but I think the reason she had you do such a tight stitch is because the zipper gets pulled on a lot. All right, let's see. Please don't break. Past that zipper bit. I'm going to switch and do the other side now. Oh, and I did that wrong. I should have had that pointing down toward the bag. You know what? We're going to fix that right now because I have a seam ripper. And you don't have to undo the whole thing to fix something you noticed is wrong. You can just undo that little section, and then you just start a little bit farther back. I thought that felt weird. All right. We can fix that real quick. Come back in here. Come back a ways and do a forward and back, and it'll lock that stitching in. Okay. Come on. Come on. All right. Good enough. Fix that. See how well it looks when I get it turned. All right, so now we got to go down the other side, and then we got to sew that little bit on the bottom. Yeah, me too. Me too, Pam. So now I'm going to do this side. Trying to get this zipper bit the way I want it. Okay, it's wanting to be uncooperative. This side, I'm just doing a short little section to my mark that I made. And this is when you will shortly realize if you screwed up and you forgot to leave the zipper open, because you won't be able to turn your bag right side out. But before we do that, I want to look at the seam I just did on the other side. See what it looks like to me now. I had some trouble getting over the zipper because it's so thick right there. It doesn't look too bad. I am just knocking stuff off right and left. All right, so now you can trim the end of that zipper off here and make it just even with the bag. Don't cut into the seam, just cut it so it's flat. And then we could do this side too. I'll just cutting that off. So you wouldn't have to use any little pieces of fabric at all on your zipper if you use a zipper that's longer that you can cut off. All right. So now we're going to do the bottom of the bag real quick. And what you do is you're just going to pull this flat like this and sew across. You can put a clip in there if you want to. Do the same on this other side and just flatten that out nice and flat. If you wanted to kind of work your seam so it's flat and open on the bottoms, might give you less to have to sew over. Not sure I can get in there get it open there. There we go. All right, so you're going to do that on the bag and on the lining pieces. You just pull the two pieces apart, and on this you'll match up the two seams. So technically on this you could fold one seam to the right and one seam to the left so they kind of nest together. Get it down so their edges are even and put a clip in there. Then we'll do a 1/4 inch seam across there and over here. We need to get rid of this thread here. This is where I didn't cut the thread before. I got to cut it now. All right, so I want to do the bottom of the bag to go the same way. You don't want them to go opposite ways, meaning it was folded to the right there. So you want that seam to fold to the right there, and then the side seam to the left, and then they'll nest together and lay nice and flat. And I was going to do this as a standalone video, but I really just needed to do something today. So that's why I'm here, living my best life, doing this live, waiting for everybody to tell me how I did everything wrong. But that's life on YouTube, right? There's always somebody that's more of authority that's going to set you straight. Even I get that. So sometimes I feel like I'm just sharing, but I'm sure people think, oh, she's a know-it-all. But anyway. Oh, gosh. All right. So there's one corner for a bottom. And then we'll do this one. I went in Joann's, was it day before yesterday? Or was it yesterday? I went to get some like shoestring type stuff to fix Greg's pants. I tried using ribbon and it was too scratchy for him. So I went and I got some trim, and then I got some toggles so that the strings won't fall into his sweatpants. I don't know why this is not wanting to do. It is hard with a lighter lining, a lighter fabric for your lining than the body, because the body wants to pull on it all the time. All right, here we go. And I was thinking I might focus on finishing that big bin of unfinished projects. So there's that. Now we got to sew this part. We love you, Mary. It's okay. And sometimes we help you find stuff too. Come on. want something I can stick down there. There's my seam ripper. So I don't sew my finger. I'm just hold that down a little bit. Okay. These little snips, they're nice when you're just snipping thread and you don't have to pull out and use scissors. So if you don't have a pair of snips, I kind of recommend them. Try not to recommend too much on here because I feel like we all have so much stuff that we need to just learn to utilize what we have. I might make some of those the loopy pot holders because I came across a big, I think I got 2 or 3 big wool loops that I picked up at the thrift store, so I could make some really cool pot holders. That might just go into the holiday giving bag or box. See, if I did all my unfinished projects, I could use that bin for projects for the Christmas bin. All right, here we go. Okay, I'm going to point you up so you can see my crazy hair here. There we go. And we might back out a little bit. And you get to see the kitchen from here now. I got you guys propped on the ironing board. You can see all that mess back there that I still have to go through. There's a table over there. I got to get rid of that table. And I got to get all that stuff. I don't want to think about it. Anyway, this is where you'll find out whether you messed up and you forgot to leave the zipper open because you won't be able to get to the other side of the bag at all because it'll be behind the zipper. So we're going to reach in the bottom and go all the way to the other side past the zipper opening. And you can reach in there and open the bag farther there we go. Now we're going to do what they call birth in a bag. See if we can get our bag turned right side out. Take your time. You don't want to tear something after all that work. And I've got stick your tongue out a little. It helps. Yeah. All right, the zipper's making an appearance. It's kind of hard with all this thick stuff, but take your time. You can see it. It's showing. It's coming around. I always think of this as like magic. And then I got to flip my lining right side out. Woo! Go ahead and leave your lining out. See if you've got any threads or anything that need to be snipped away. See how that gives you a nice boxed corner? Then there's a boxed corner on that side. And you need to pull this together where your opening is and kind of tuck that 1/4 inch seam down in there. And you can press it and then you just take it to your sewing machine, or you can do this by hand and just whip stitch that hole. I'm just going to take it over here to the ironing board and iron that down. And before we sew that, we want to make sure we press out the bottom of our bag like so. And you just don't want to push and push too hard, especially if you use something like a crochet hook or something to get your points out. You don't want to press all the little places where you have a corner. You want to be gentle about that. Just gently ease it out. You don't want to get too crazy. So now I got a nice boxed bottom on my bag. Let me press these little seams here. Sun is coming out. It's looking beautiful outside. And Greg returned to work today, so the house is extra quiet. My son has a loud and wide open presence. You know how some people are like that? You know they're there even when they're completely quiet. My son has that presence. There's nothing he can do about it. It's his presence. But it fills the house. And it's kind of nice to be quiet. Scott and I are such quiet people. It's kind of odd that we've had a son that's just so outgoing and so, I don't know. In public situations, I just shut down. I don't know. I keep trying to work on it, but I'm just not. Like my father-in-law used to say, I'm not a social butterfly. That's what he used to say. I ain't no social butterfly. All right, I've pressed that down on both sides. You see it's pressed inside the hole. I'm going to put a couple pins in here. And you'll notice this even on handbags that are made and sold like at Kohl's and that. They don't hand stitch anything. They just stick this back up under the machine and run some stitches. So you'll be able to see these stitches because I'm going to just use this blue thread that's in here. Because I really need the orange thread that I have left to finish the little orange dress. That is so close to being finished. It's sitting here waiting. So I'm going to stitch where the pins are and then shove this to the inside and this bag will be done. So if you've stuck with me this long, you'll get to see what the bag looks like. And I'm just stitching just real close to the edge because there's only a 1/4 inch of fabric on each side tucked in. So you want to be close to the edge. This is exactly what they do in factories. They just put it back in the machine and brr, brr, and then they throw the bag aside and then somebody else turns it right side out, gets it all pressed even on a machine that's got all these forms that fit to the bag. So that didn't take too long. We've only been on a little over an hour. So you too can sew your bag in less than an hour or a little over an hour. Okay. What is going on here? I'm quite tempted to go see how crowded it is at the river walk and maybe go for a walk. That might make me feel better. Anytime I'm near water, I feel better. I might need a trip to the river. Just like the bass fish, right? Take me to the river. Don't throw me in the water. It's too polluted here. All right, I'm going to shove the guts back in. Now, this is something, if I put that other little tab on of the orange fabric, I wouldn't have this happening here. See how that is? That's not great. But I'm going to call it good. I'm going to tuck my corners in. I mean, it looks okay when it's closed, but when it's open, that doesn't look too hot. But see, there you go. So there's the bag. We created the fabric together, and then we found some lining, and we added a zipper. And now you too have your own little zippered project bag. It's nice. If you haven't sewed along with me, you could, before you sew your pocket in, you could add before you sew your lining in, you could have added a small pocket inside or some slots to put like crochet hooks or knitting needles in. This would be a good size for a sock bag, I think. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this. You can make your bags any size you want. I think I'm going to really enjoy this one. And I might use my little blue one that's in the back as a way to put like crochet hooks and stitch markers and things like that into that small bag. So these are great to make for Christmas too. I mean, you could make up a very special fabric just for somebody, or you could buy fabric for like a sports team or whatever. If you've got a runner, you could, you could do any sorts of stuff like that. So anyway, thanks guys. You never understood the squared off bottom like that? Most people, they say just sew it straight and then you fold, you bring the bottom seam, because usually there would be a seam here, but I wanted this one to be without a seam. But you would bring the two seams together and then stitch about 1.5 inches up from the bottom, and then you trim the fabric. I think the finish is better when you just cut that fabric away and match it up. But then again, that's a personal preference. Thanks, guys. The fabric was a lot of fun to make. I went a little crazy with the ink tints, but I think it looks good. So we finished our zipper bag, and I think it's time for another cup of tea. And I will see you guys in the next video. I'll say bye properly. Bye. And there's the bag. Ta-da. All right, guys. Bye.